Welcome to Smart Company's Thinking Bigger Radio. Get the inside scoop on how America's most successful business owners transform their entrepreneurial vision into reality. And listen in as some of the top business minds in the country serve up practical advice, tips, and insights for growing your business. Now, here's your host, Kelly Scanlon.
Good morning. Welcome to Smart Companies Radio. I'm Kelly Scanlon, publisher of Thinking Bigger Business Media. Our guest today is Lisa Sackuvich. She is the owner-founder of ARJ Infusion Services, and that is a company that offers in-home infusion expertise and dispensing of specialty pharmacy medication to patients who have chronic conditions. In addition, she has been able to leverage her woman-owned business status in order to grow her business. She's been able to, for example, secure contracts with some major insurance companies. So today we're going to talk with Lisa about her business, what exactly she does, and then how she has used the WBE status in order to grow it to even greater heights and provide some tips on how you can do that as well. Welcome to the show today, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, always happy to share these business stories. They're so inspirational, and especially when it comes to women and leveraging that WBE status, I think it's something that is often overlooked as part of a business growth plan. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about your company itself. When you say that ARJ offers in-home infusion expertise, what does that mean exactly?
Well, we provide nursing services. So we have registered nurses that are employees of our company, and my background is in nursing. I've been a nurse for 37 years in the Kansas City area, and we also have a pharmacy with registered pharmacists, PharmDs, that dispense the medication that the doctor orders for the patient. And the nurses provide the infusion, administer it to the patient. We have patients all across the age spectrum, from infants to patients in their 90s that need to have infusion therapy because of chronic genetic disorders, typically bleeding disorders, neurological disorders, immune deficiencies, autoimmune disease, where they have to get ongoing therapy. It may be weekly, it may be every other day, sometimes even daily with bleeding disorders, or on a monthly basis, but it's ongoing. So it's important for them to be able to do it in the comfort of their home, on their time, because we want people to be active in their jobs, in school. We don't want them to miss work or miss school because we want them to have this on their time, and we provide consistency that way, having the same nurse as going out and administering their therapy that the doctor's ordered.
Exactly. Now, you can have that done in-home, as you just described, but don't you also have a facility where people can come in a very private setting, also have this administered?
Yes, we do. I feel we've always felt it was important to have options for people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the home isn't the right place for it. They would prefer, or their physician prefers, that it be in a more controlled setting, or they need to pop over on their lunchtime to our facilities, which are located in different areas. But we also have an infusion suite in the Kansas City area at our location in Lenexa, Kansas.
Okay. You mentioned that you were a nurse, or you are a nurse. What made you decide that business ownership was for you?
Well, I feel like everything in my nursing career just kind of led me to that. And I was so fortunate to have many different opportunities in my nursing career and got to work in many different settings. Worked in the hospital setting for many years, worked in ICU and cardiology, and then I had the opportunity to open physician practices and work in a physician practice and provide infusion therapy in their practice and learned a lot about business as far as hiring people, letting people go, the aspect of billing and collecting. And so I was just really fortunate to do that. And there was one physician in 1995 that I worked for, and he said to me, if you're going to work like this for someone else, you should do it for yourself. And that really was a kind of a tipping point for, you know what, I love to do IV therapy. I as a child, I had to go to the hospital, and I was like 3, 4, 5 years old, and it was frightening and fascinating, I say, because I think that kind of led me to nursing, being being in that healthcare environment early on, and sometimes infusions were not so bad, and sometimes they were horrific, and it was scary and frightening for a child. And I think there's an art and a science, and, you know, just it isn't a nurse is a nurse is a nurse. I think nurses, we kind of specialize and have let me say, maybe a gift for being able to stick someone with a needle and make it and do it well.
Yes.
And there are, you know, it's just, so I feel like that what he said to me really got me thinking. And, you know, so I went to my brother, because the bank, you know, not having any money and not having a history, I wasn't probably someone that they were willing to invest in on a very niche area at the time. And so in 2000, we started the company, and my brother, who was able to loan me the money, and also became an owner in ARJ. But that was sort of how it all transpired. And so took the leap, and it has been, you know, remarkable.
Yeah, it's really been a ride. As you said, in 2000 you founded it, so 17 years later you have 4 dispensing pharmacies across the country. You have more than 100 employees, and you've also received a 99% patient satisfaction score. That's really phenomenal. I mean, what do you think contributes to that?
Well, it is phenomenal, and it's very important to all of us, and at the company, and I think that's why we are able to be successful, and we exceed patients' expectations. We want their journey to be an incredible experience, and also not a big deal, you know, and we want to do it right, and we want to provide them with what they need, because I believe everyone is unique, individual, and deserves dignity, respect, and the most excellent care that you can provide them as a healthcare professional. And I feel like our team of nurses and pharmacists and everyone, our intake, all the amazing people that I am blessed to work with every day, just feel that same passion and care for the patient, and from the people that talk to them on the phone, that talk to the doctors, our referral sources, and get their treatment pre-authorized and going. We're just kind of hands-on, high touch, and we see them as our customers, and we want to provide them the very best service. And I think that really comes through from the first phone call that we make to them all the way through to when the nurse arrives at their home, or they arrive to our infusion suite and are greeted and cared for with the utmost respect and dignity.
Obviously, your commitment to the patient, commitment to their comfort, to providing the very best in services has helped you to grow your company. Another avenue, which I mentioned earlier, was being able to secure your WBE status, your WBE certification as a woman business owner. How has certification opened doors for ARJ?
Well, I just feel like, I wish I had done it sooner is one thing I will say, because I think when I was new into the business, you're so busy in the business that you aren't able to kind of get a higher picture and work on the business. And once, I kind of drug my feet getting certified because, just the fear of the unknown and the paperwork and all that. But once we did it, it was incredible. And I feel like it brings just another level of credibility to your company to go that extra step. I mean, we're an accredited body because we're home care. We have several accreditations, and we are surveyed for, through different state boards of pharmacy, nursing, and so forth. But I think with the certification as a woman-owned business, it's just another additional level of, providing and showing that we are who we say we are. We talk the talk and walk the walk, and it may not open doors necessarily, but it certainly brings a level of credibility to have that on our media posts that we and our website, and that we have that certification. I know that talking with insurance companies, because that our referrals are from physicians, but oftentimes the patient's insurance will be the deciding factor in who cares for the patient. And we have gone out and gotten insurance contracts, and they, that was just an additional, seeing that certification made us very credible in their eyes.
Yeah. When you talk about this credibility, what exactly does the WBE certification mean? When you achieve that, what does it mean that you've done, or what does it allow you to do? Talk to us about that part of it.
Well, it shows that you have been looked at by a accrediting body and received their certification, and not only is it an application that is filled out and paperwork, but they actually come and do a site survey and look at your company. And they're also an incredible resource to connect different companies to each other and look at how the networking piece of it. And that we are fortunate in Kansas City now to have WB in our city, where they are based in Chicago, but now we have actually an executive here working with us, and I think that's been a huge improvement for myself in particular, just meeting with her and networking and getting lots of ideas about who we can talk to and use those, other companies as resources.
Sure. Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's the Women's Business Development Center, and they are the largest regional partner organization of the third-party certifier for WBEs, which is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, and that's the one I believe that's in Chicago. But
yes.
Yeah, as you said, they provide so much assistance in addition to the certification, that designation, which that also means that any company that you contract, it makes you eligible for a look when it comes to a lot of contracts. It doesn't necessarily guarantee it, which I think some women mistakenly think that I've got this now, I am assured contracts, but it's kind of the cherry on top. Wouldn't you say that it gives you that extra little bit of leverage? You still have to be able to show that you provide the services and the expertise and all the other things that they're looking for in the contracts, but it could give you an edge, if all things are equal. Would you say that?
Right, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, because I do run into women who think that, I got my WBE certification, I'm good to go, I'm going to get all these contracts automatically now. Doesn't work that way.
No, you still have to put, as you've already described, you have to put the work in, and you have to prove yourself and deliver as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it really is. I think describing it as the cherry on top is what I have experienced as well. That it is definitely just added, as I said, another layer to what we do, and trying to share that with and get contracts from insurance companies in particular.
You mentioned earlier that you wished you had done this earlier, gone through the process earlier, but you were, head down in your business, as so many business owners are. I think we can all relate to that. And you mentioned the paperwork, it just at first was like, I don't want to get into that right now. What is that process like? Is it really, it has to be intensive to a certain degree, because you have to really validate that you're the woman business owner who's making the decisions, operating in the business day to day. But is it really as time-consuming as people make it out to be? Tell us about your experience with that process.
I think initially you think it's going to be more than it is, and when you look at all the information that you get in the checklist, it's very intuitive. And it actually was a good experience as a business owner to look at your company, because you're sending information about your company, financial information, budget information, organizational information. And so it was actually a good lesson in learning about my company and identifying some areas that, we need to work on this, or we need to do this, and perhaps, and they gave some, good ideas of things that I may not have had in place that I got in place. So I feel like it was a great learning experience for us, and we really, as a team, learned a lot, getting things ready and delivering it. And so it was very interesting, and it wasn't really overwhelming, as I had it in my mind and kept, well, I'll do that in 2 months. Well, I'll do that next year. Oh, I know I need to do that. But once we did it, and it isn't that hard. And as I said, it's very intuitive. They know what they're doing. They are very clear and concise on what you need to provide them. And so they were very helpful throughout the process as well, with any questions or, so it was a really good experience. And, I think one of the benefits is that you learn more. You are somewhat forced to stop and look at things and get them in a form of presentation that is important, and not only important for this certification, but for everything that you do in your company, to be able to provide information to banks, to lenders, to investors, So I think, it's just getting your house in order, getting your company in order. So.
Yeah, no, you couldn't have said that better. It's not an exercise. It's not like writing your name 100 times, like you used to do in school sometimes. It's really something that you can use above and beyond the certification process. Like you say, much of the same information is going to be necessary whenever you go to a bank, or whenever you're maybe looking to for lease a building or whatever it might be. It's a lot of the same stuff that you're going to need. So, importantly, you have to be 51% owned by a woman business owner. But the other thing I think that you pointed out there that's very important to emphasize is that you don't have to go this alone. They have representatives right here in Kansas City that you can tap into to seek assistance. And it's not necessarily an adversarial relationship like some people might think that it would be. Yes, they are trying to make sure that you meet all the criteria and that you are a legitimate woman-owned business. But at the same time, they want to offer you the assistance. They don't want some little technicality because you misunderstood a question to trip you up.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us about whether or not this is something you would recommend to other women business owners.
Yes, and I have recommended it because I didn't want them to, kind of lag off and not go ahead and just do this. It's important, it's helpful, it's a learning experience, and I have recommended it to other women that have started companies or thinking about it, and have tried to help them understand that it's a great process to go through. It's an important process, and it's a learning process, and it is helpful. And I do feel like it adds credibility to your company, and you learn a lot about your company going through the process. So absolutely, I will continue to recommend it, and I have. And people, 2 people that I have talked to are really excited about it and have gone through the process too. So, yes.
Well, yeah, and in addition to giving your business the credibility that you keep referring to and opening up opportunities perhaps that you hadn't been aware of before, I think another thing that gets overlooked and that maybe the particular woman-owned business isn't tuned into and isn't aware of is when you are a WBE, when you're certified as a WBE, when decisions are made in D.C. about contracting and about the federal requirements and so forth, the percentages that are going to go to minorities or to women, especially in certain industries and categories, if there aren't enough women, if there aren't enough minorities in those, they just think that no women or minorities are in business in those areas, and so you don't have a seat at the table. Your voice isn't heard essentially if women and minorities are not getting certified and representing those industries. So that is another intangible that certification helps. It helps all women and minority business owners when you get certified. So just wanted to throw that in there too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something you may not
not
realize.
only locally, but regionally and nationally. So that's a very, very good point. Absolutely. That as a business owner, you can't be everywhere, and they bring a voice, like as you said, at a national level, a local level, and regional. So that's a really good point.
Well, and if you would like to learn more, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg here this morning, but if you'd like to learn more about getting certified or what certification entails, you can actually reach out to the Women's Business Development Center. Their website is wbdc.org, just the first letter of the word, each of those words, so wbdc.org, and learn some more. There's contact information there as well, so we would encourage you to get in touch. And Lisa, if someone would like to get in touch with you to either talk about the services that you offer or your experience going through the WBE certification process, how would they do that?
I could be reached at our phone number is 866-451-8804. And if I'm not available, you can leave a message and or email me at lisas@arjinfusion.com.
Okay. And if you didn't have a pen to write all that down, just remember arjinfusion.com, and I'm sure that there's contact information on the website that can eventually reach back to you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so arjinfusion.com and wbdc.org. Check out both those websites. Lisa, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for sharing your experience with the WBE certification process. I'm sure that'll help many of our listeners today.
Well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on the show. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to learn how to grow your business, please visit our website at IThinkBigger.com. Follow us on Facebook, Thinking Bigger Business Media, or on Twitter at IThinkBigger. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next